All right, Jeff Zimmerman here. I'm with the undefeated rising prospect, Samuel Arnold III. Got a big fight coming up this Saturday night at the Bomb Factory in Dallas, Texas. How you doing, Samuel?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir, man. I know we've been trying to lock down an interview for some time. I'm excited to just talk to you. And I think when I first met you was at the airport with your dad. And that night, the local news here in Dallas was doing a story on you, just about your start in boxing. You're 19 years old. Talk about it, man, because you're young. You got a bright future on your hands. How did you get started in this crazy sport?
Well, originally, I used to live in St. Louis, Missouri. I come from a boxing family, and I said originally I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, because that's a city with a deep boxing background. So it was a cultural thing for my family and just being where I was from to box when you got a certain age. So when I got old enough, about 5 years old, I started to go to the gym. When I got about 10 years old, I really became a boxer, started to compete as an amateur, started to spar and everything.
So did your dad box and like uncles or who in the family were boxers?
Yeah, my dad, my uncles, I had older cousins. So it was like my dad would take me and a few of my friends and my cousins to the gym as kids. And he used to teach us how to box at home as well. So we all just go to the gym. It was just a thing, even if he wasn't a real boxer or not. But by the time I'd say in the fifth grade, I really became like a real competitive boxer.
You fell in love with it.
Yes, definitely. And I started to compete, won my first fight and everything like that. So I just knew once I got really into it, it was different from all other sports. And I just knew those were the things that I wanted to do from there on.
Now you mentioned growing up in St. Louis, but then your dad moved the family to Dallas. What was the reason behind that?
Well, Dallas is a bigger city with much more opportunity, and St. Louis is a very dangerous city as far as crime, murder, and just like raising a family every day. Not saying you can't because it's a lot of people that do, and it's a lot of great working class people in St. Louis, but the chance of something bad or negative happening in St. Louis is much higher than it happened in somewhere where it's more spaced out like Dallas. And it was just a new start for us to get a lot more accomplished in life.
Right, right. And you didn't have any family here, right? No, you didn't have any ties to Dallas. Is that
Very
correct?
li- very little, but we just had each other and we made family here since the years we've been here.
Right. And you like Dallas.
Yeah, I love Dallas. I've been here for years. I actually came here a few times before I actually moved here when I was a kid. And I moved to Dallas when I was younger.
Right.
When I was, but it still took some getting used to. But as I became a boxer in the amateurs and traveled different places as a kid, I used to always say, whenever I get old enough, I want to move back to St. Louis and stuff like that. But I didn't understand why. It was just hard to be a kid to move somewhere new, have to go to a whole different type of school system and not going over your cousin's house every day. It's just like you out here by yourself until I finally made friends and different things like that. So when I moved around and went different places with boxing stuff, I understood how good Dallas was compared to St. Louis and other cities like St. Louis and just as a city in general. So I appreciate them for doing that for me.
You got a hell of a perspective, man, at such a young age, 19 years old. Now you became an amateur star, if I recall, seven national titles as an amateur.
Yeah, yeah, I won 7 national titles. I won all the USA qualifiers, Junior Olympics, ringside world. I placed at some silver gloves. I did a lot of great things in the amateurs. I fought guys from Ireland and Mexico. I beat a lot of different guys in the amateurs.
Now I know the Olympics aren't what they used to be for at least a lot of young fighters, but was the Olympics ever on your radar, or what? How, did you miss out on that?
It's just like how my birthday is and how young I am, and it's every 4 years. Uh,
Yeah.
2020, I was only like 16 years old, so I wasn't even close to being old enough. I was like 16 by turned 17, so I wasn't close to being old enough to fight in the Olympics. But if I would have waited, I would have had to wait till it's only 2022 now. I'm 19. I would have had to wait till I was 21 years old. And being 16, about to be 17, 21 years old seemed like a very long time. But
Yeah.
I made that decision to turn professional.
Yeah, and you're 6-0, as I mentioned. And now, if I recall, you were with a promoter at one point, or have you
Um,
always been a free agent? What's your
uh,
status?
Originally, coming out the amateurs, I had a lot of promoters offering me different things, and I had got with Cameron Duncan. He moves Brandon Lee and Jerron Ennis and a lot of other great guys. Uh, Things with him didn't work out after my second fight, so we just got away from that situation. But I've been working with Premier Boxing Champions, but I am a free agent though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Which is not a bad place to be at a young age.
Not at all, not at all. We still building, but you will see me on some more Premier Boxing Champion cards after this fight though. But I don't have paperwork with any promotional company right now.
Right, right. Now let's talk about, and I want to talk more about your career, but you got this fight on Saturday against Angulo. Do you know anything about him? I know he's got an upside down record.
Um,
But what do you know about him?
I don't really know much about him, and this guy, he's a replacement opponent. The first original opponent I was gonna get was a 10-5 guy, and then we even got a 11-1 guy. A lot of guys, about 10 guys, turned down the fight. We had some good records with way more wins than me with very little losses. I had, like I said, 11-1 guy. In my seventh fight, in my first 6-round fight, a lot of guys not going to take a chance in fighting guys like that. And this guy was a guy who never even fought as low as I fought. He fought at cruiserweight and stuff, and he just said he wanted to fight at middleweight. But I just know this guy wants to fight at 168, but I fight at 160. But that was fine with me. It's just a fight to keep me active, not taking this guy lightly at all.
Right.
But it's a fight to keep me active, fight to keep me sharp. I got another big fight coming up after this, so I don't really know much about him, but I respect him like I respect any other fighter. But at the same time, I know what I can do in the ring, and I know how much I prepare for this fight. So I'm gonna come, and hopefully it be a good fight for the fans. On his end, I hope he bring his A game because I'm ready 100%.
Now you mentioned middleweight. You're if I recall, you're 6'3".
Yes.
You're a middleweight, and I've been around you. You got a big frame. You're not a skinny 6'3".
Right.
How long do you plan to be at that weight, and what is your goal there?
Well, my goal is the ultimate goal of any fighter to win all the championships in the weight class. So that'd be the undisputed. But I don't plan on being here. I say if I'm 23 years old, 22, I'll say that's probably the longest I'll stay at middleweight because I plan on going in between 160 to 175 throughout my whole career. But you never know what God has planned for you. You never know what opportunities might come. So I'm gonna just keep campaigning at this weight that I'm ranked at, middleweight. Stay disciplined, make the weight. But for this fight, I didn't really have to make as much sacrifice as far as cutting weight. So I'm fighting at 168. So I'm gonna stay here as long as I can until I accomplish the goals I want to accomplish, or until I feel like I got the biggest opportunity I can get at the weight. And then whenever I feel like it's the time for me to officially go up to 68 and then 75 after that, then I'll do that.
So let's talk about that weight, because I mean, obviously you're still young, but listen, 5 years ago when you were still in the amateurs, these guys were still doing things. You got
Right.
Benavidez, you got Caleb Plant coming up, obviously Canelo's out there. Who are some of the guys that you have followed in your career just as a young fighter?
Well, I'm a boxing fan outside of being a boxer myself. So actually, I've been watching all those guys, of course, since they've been coming up and everything. Because I'm like a deep boxing fan. Like I know the journeyman and everything. So all of those guys you named, plus just the most popular regular boxers that your average casual boxing fan might know. Nobody in particular, but just all the big name boxers, all the champions, all the top contenders. I've been following all those guys, especially the ones around my weight who I eventually might fight later down the line, even though it's still early for me and they're much older. And, boxing careers for most boxers not going to be if you 30 years old and the guy 19, y'all probably will never ever get to fight. Or if you
Right.
27 and the guy 19, y'all probably will never fight. But just like being a boxing fan on top of being competitive, just in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, one day we're gonna have to fight, and different things like that. So I watch all those guys around 160, 68, 75.
Have you sparred any of those guys? A lot of times as a young fighter, like if you recall, like Spence, sparred with Mayweather when he was young in his career. And actually, as the rumor has it, gave him a lot of good work,
Yeah.
Have you sparred with any of the top guys, any of the champs?
I spar with a lot of guys. I spar with Harrison. I spar with Porter. I spar with Maurice Hooker. All those guys were world champions. Those the big three biggest names who I can think of right now. It's a lot more guys, but those are like the main three guys. And I sparred those guys when I was like younger than 19 too. So I sparred Porter last year. I sparred Harrison, I think 2020. Uh Hooker, I sparred him in 2020 as well. So I sparred a lot of high level pros. It only made me better though. None of those guys ever tried to go easy on me or anything. I'm talking about 17, 18 years old, sparring world champions, and I could always hold my own. That's what gave me a lot of confidence that I got today.
I was going to say they don't bring you in unless they think you can give them work as well.
Right. Right.
So, no, that's great. So we mentioned Spence, and you're a fan of the sport, just like a lot of us.
Right.
And the biggest fight in boxing that's been eluding us for a few years now, Spence-Crawford. I've been covering the Dallas fight scene for some time, so I've covered Spence, pretty good, and obviously Derrick James. You mentioned Maurice Hooker, all the local guys, and excited to now cover your career. Spence-Crawford, if that fight ever does happen, hopefully next year sometime, who do you like in that fight and why?
Well, I feel like when it comes to one punch knockout power, I feel like Terrence Crawford has more of that. He displayed it more if you look at his fights and pay attention. I feel like Earl Spence is more fundamentally sound, straight down the middle, as far as straight punches, accuracy on his punches, and keeping his hands up and tight. I think is I wouldn't say I think it's I have to say Earl Spence, being a little biased because I got a lot of love for Earl Spence, and I've been knowing Earl Spence for years. But being 100%, I think it's a dangerous fight regardless. But I feel like Earl Spence should be able to win. And at first I thought, well, Terrence Crawford would probably be hard for Earl Spence, but now I kind of feel like it's some type of doubt in Terrence Crawford a little bit. So I have to say Earl Spence, but I think it's 50-50. It's two high-level athletes. And Terrence Crawford, when I was a younger fighter in the amateurs, Terrence Crawford brought his whole family from Omaha and all these Omaha people to sit and watch me fight at the Ringside World Championships. And I got a lot of love for Terrence Crawford. They also fought one of his cousins in the amateurs. And I know some of his family members and stuff. So I say it's 50-50, but I have to lean towards Earl Smith though.
And if I'm hearing you, you think because he's the fundamentals would maybe win over at the end of the day?
Yes, I think so. I think he's more Earl. I think Earl Spence sticks to his game plan more than a lot of fighters in boxing. People say he's basic and stuff like that, but he know what he wanted to do in the ring, and he executed. So if he gonna stay, if he throws them jabs and digs to the body, he stays on that the whole fight. He don't go around and do this, do that, and all that. He just stick to what he know he good at and win a fight like that. And a lot of guys he break down with that system, and it worked for him. It might not be pretty, it might not be flashy, but it worked for him. So yeah, I have to lean towards Earl Spence.
I mean, you can tell that you study the sport and you definitely know the game. Let me ask you this, Sam. What is your style in the ring? What are you, a boxer, puncher, or what do you do out there?
Yes, I could say I'm a boxer puncher. Because my deep amateur background and just going around learning from different people, traveling with boxing, I picked up a lot of skills. And then the puncher, I say that come from one naturally just being a strong person, but just the grit of coming up sparring like the Mexican style fighters in Texas and stuff like that. That make you punch hard. And then I say the boxer comes from St. Louis, the slick Midwest style, the jab and the boxing and movement, head movement, everything. So I would say I'm a boxer puncher. And I'm gonna display more of my sharp boxing instead of my knockouts better than what I have, but definitely a boxer puncher.
Were you a Corey Spinks fan at any time?
Yes, actually me and Corey Spinks, I talk to Corey Spinks all the time. I got his number. I FaceTime him. I'm supposed to be going out there and getting some training and everything pretty soon, probably my next camp.
That's great. Talk about a family business with the Spinks family. And we'll wrap it up here. Jeff Zimmerman, FightNews.com. I'm with the rising prospect out of Dallas, middleweight Samuel Arnold III. Big fight this Saturday night in Dallas. We talked about Caleb and Benavidez a little bit. You know, they're at 168. Obviously, Caleb got the money fight that everyone's been trying to get with Canelo, and held his own for a good part of that fight until he got stopped late. What are your thoughts on that fight? And you know, completely different styles. You know, in the ring.
I feel like Plant actually is the more skilled boxer and more slick and elusive boxer. I feel like Plant had in his head that he's fighting Canelo, and he had a little too much respect for Canelo in the ring, because not just off of him getting stopped, but you have to watch the clip where he's saying, "Oh, I'm pretty good to," but you know, that's like asking another fighter for approval of how good you are. But I feel like Plant actually could have beat Canelo. I feel like he just came into the fight thinking he's fighting Canelo instead of thinking, "Oh, I'm just fighting another boxer." But I feel like now that Plant got that win and he went back and looked at the film and everything, he's more confident. And I was actually there when he knocked out Darrell. He's more confident and know, on top of Canelo just losing to Bivol, he knows, okay, if I do this, I'll win. And he see how good he was doing, and I think he's more confident if they have a rematch, and I think it'd be a better fight the second time around.
Who do you like in the? So do you like Plant versus Benavidez? How do you see that fight shaking out?
I feel like Plant, from his energy when I was at the fight, he seemed pretty confident. And his plan, what he was basically saying was to beat Benavidez and then come for Canelo to get his rematch. So I feel like Benavidez, I feel like Benavidez probably will win just off of watching them fight and just off their past like few performances. But I feel like Plant is the more skilled boxer, and Benavidez has that pressure, throw a million punches style. And he's big, and he's kind of like an unorthodox boxer. So it's a good fight. I really don't know what to expect with that fight, but if I just have to be safe and bet my money, I would probably put it on Benavidez though. But I think people kind of sleep on Plant though. So we'll see.
It's a fight that's been kind of brewing for some time. They haven't really gotten along too well, it seems, over the years. So should be a great fight. Hey, but before we wrap up here, Samuel, I noticed like on your Instagram, you were speaking out of middle school. Talk about, just being an athlete, you talk about your, upbringing a little bit, trying to, for a better future. What does that mean to you to be able to kind of share some advice or share, because you're still young and to be able to talk to kids out there?
Right. It means a lot to me because not just in the minority community or in anything like that, but just in the world in general, all people, we have access to, I feel like us as humans have access to too much negative things as far as like everything is one click away on the internet. So kids can be exposed to stuff so fast and so simple and easy. And I just feel like it's important I just feel like it's important to promote positivity to the youth and also give kids some type of motivation to where they don't think they're behind in life because they see a kid who's rich on social media or kids who look like, or just people in general look like they're living a good life on the internet. And then they look at their life like, it's not much of anything. So I just feel like it's important to inspire and promote something positive to the youth because at any second, a 13-year-old, 12-year-old kid can just go on a iPhone, for tablet, computer, and just click on and look up anything they want to on the internet. So I feel like it's important, and that's another thing that's like my purpose too. I just want to be something positive to the youth. They're like, oh yeah, I can do this. Even if it's not boxing, they like, oh, I can be this, I can be that. There's no limit on anything you can do because just like any other person, I never knew anything about boxing. I didn't know how to box. I got good from giving it my all and constantly putting in the work. So I just want people to have that mindset with everything, and I just want more people to lean away from the violence, the hate, and everything else, and just do something good to help people and stuff like that.
Well said, man. Well said. You're very well spoken, Samuel, at such a young age. Just in communicating with your dad, and I can tell you were raised right, and I can't wait to follow your journey. I know it's just starting. It's probably hard to be patient at this, in boxing nowadays. You see all these young guys vying for championships, et cetera, but it sounds like you're on the right path. Big fight this Saturday night to keep it alive in Dallas at the Bomb Factory against Uriel Angulo. Man, I really appreciate it. Next time we're going to do this in person, but I wish you all the best this Saturday and beyond.
Thank you, and thank you for having me as well.
Thank you, man. Good luck, and we'll be talking to you.
Okay.